Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to talk quickly about bit drivers, what I use, what I own, what I prefer, what I recommend. I've been getting a lot of questions about my drivers, where they're from, all that stuff. I'll try to put links, but I'm definitely going to explain it here. And this way I have something to point people to when they ask me about my drivers. I can say, go watch that video instead of, oh, I think it's this. I got it here. I made a video a while ago about that one driver. You could just see everything I use pretty much. There are other ones. I'll go over that. And yeah, so real quick, I do want to say I appreciate everybody who supports the channel. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe, like the video. If you don't, dislike the video. If you have critiques or criticisms, hit me up in the comments or DM me on Instagram at LeftyEDC. Don't be a dick, because I'll be a dick right back at you. But that's about it. I love you guys who do support the channel. My Patreon is linked right below in the description, along with all of my affiliate links, which most of also benefit you in some way with discounts. They all benefit the channel in some way. Really appreciate it when you guys do that. Love you. Just wanted to kind of throw that stuff out there. So real quick, let's knock this one out. Pry bar carry type bit drivers. So I do use these. I use this a good bit. Right now I just switched it over to a Phillips and a flathead because I had a T6 and a T8 in here, but I rarely use them. I might have to do an adjustment on a pivot or a body screw while I'm in the truck. If I do a unboxing or something and a knife comes out of the box off center or with play or something, right? Especially if I bought it on the secondary, that kind of stuff can happen a lot. But it's pretty rare for a screw to just be like, oh, it's kind of loose randomly. Let me take this out and fix it, right? It's kind of rare. But it happens. So I like to have one on me. I also love having the pry bar. So these types of things, I have a couple of, a Damn Design Sidekick. I have a few on pre-order, like the Arcane Design Space Bar and the Novel Carry or Honest Carry Slide Kick are coming. But these are kind of like on-body type ones. They're not ideal drivers. They're good. You get enough torque, but it's not like something you would want to have in your drawer, like when you do maintenance, that you take this out instead of a real driver. But I just wanted to kind of throw these in as an honorable mention. They work fantastically. This is the Vero Engineering Fulcrum if you're interested. If you're going to carry it on body, I recommend something full size like this that holds the bits, holds a couple bits. If you are going to like pocket carry it, not with a clip, then you can get the mini ones. Just keep in mind, if you're going to use the clip, you want the full size. Just trust me. Thank me later. Okay. First up, I do have normal, like Weeha, just full-length bit drivers that aren't replaceable. I've had them for a long time. I occasionally use them if I have to, but I essentially just keep them in a drawer and don't really use them. 99.9% of the time will use a driver with a 1/4 inch replaceable style magnetic like bit driver head. That is what I'll use, right? And this is one of them. And this is one of the best bit drivers you can get. This is a 100% need to have if you're going to do a lot of knife maintenance. Even if you have awesome drivers like these, I still use this all the time. You can watch my disassembly videos, especially when there's a knife that has a spinning pivot. So what happens is when you have a knife with a spinning pivot or dual-sided tooling, essentially, I don't know if they all have to be spinning pivots if they have this, but anyway, what happens is you need to keep one side locked down while you actually tighten or loosen the other side, or the whole thing will just spin in there and you're never going to get it out. Sometimes you'll get lucky, and you might, but most of the time on a knife like this, you're going to need 2 tools or 2 bits. So this thing comes in super handy because it's small. So if I try to take these 2 and hold them like this while there's a knife in the middle, what happens is I put one in and then I have to kind of like hold it while I'm then using this one, and then I can't even like demonstrate, and then you have to hold them both at the same time without holding the knife, keep everything steady while it wants to flop around, get enough, torque and tension, and then you're like pushing both and turning one or both of them, and you're very likely to have the knife just spin like this, your bit drivers jam into the side, and you end up scratching the shit out of your knife. Happens all the time to people who don't have the proper tools. Guarantee it. Happened to me a lot before I knew what I was doing. So, if you get a driver like this is why this one's essential. You can palm it. It's small enough and fat enough that you can palm it, keep enough leverage on it so that it's not going to move. Because the problem with something like this, even if you could palm it, it's going to like spin because you don't have enough strength to like hold it steady while you're doing it. So what you do is you take this guy. I'm going to do this while I'm not looking through the camera. You get him in position, right? He's in there. Then you have enough length on your fingers, because this is short and stubby, to hold the knife. So now I have this right here. Boom. Good to go. And then I can take this driver, my primary, put that into this slot, and now I just have full control to do whatever I want, right? But if you're trying to do it with this, you just end up loose, and I'm telling you, you're going to jack up your knife. Eventually, you might get good enough at it, but it's not worth it. That is number one, why this is an essential piece if you're going to take knives apart and use bit drivers. Number two, it allows you to have an immense amount of torque. Because it's fat and chubby, you can pinch this like this. I have so much of my hand strength in this, arm strength. I can crank open or close or loosen or tight, right? Now, a lot of people will tell you that's not good because you don't ever want to over tighten something. And if something is that hard to loosen, you might have a problem and you might want to use heat or something. Yes, that all comes into play. Don't just do what I say and, but this allows you to have a lot of torque, and that's why I love it. When I need it, I can crank. When I need it, I can pop something open that's really tight. It's just an amazing tool. I 100% recommend getting this kind of fat driver. While we're talking about what you essentially need to have, like these are not essential, right? These are bougie bit drivers that I like and I think are cool, so I bought them, right? That's me. But you could probably buy 2 of these and you'd be good to go. Although I would recommend getting 1 of these and then a kind of like longer skinny one, like a Wera bit driver, something like that to go along with it. So you have the one you can palm and the one that's comfortable, gets a good amount of torque, but not too much, and works fantastically. But yeah, while we're talking about necessities, what you want is very good bits. So I have a 30-pack of these. This is a T8. Let me see if I can get... Man, that one's really old and beat up. So this is a Weha bit. Let me zoom in and see if that helps. Sorry, I hit the focus button. I hate that. You can't turn that off. So there you go. Weha. Damn, these are beat up. These aren't even that old. I've probably replaced this like a week ago. And you can see just from all my assemblies, man, I beat these things up. But the star shape on here is still in good order. So I don't need to replace this yet. Weha is the way to go. There's other brands that people will tell you are just as good. Fine. Bondis is one, I believe. But I can tell you with a certainty, Wehas are fantastic. You can get a 30-pack of these in T8. There you go. T8 is what you want for 90% of your knives are going to have a T8 pivot and possibly T8 screws. You might need T6. If you're going to be getting into knife disassembly, I recommend you get a full set of Weha Torques from T5 all the way up to like T20 is probably good. Of course, what you're going to end up with is T5 through T30. That's just kind of how they sell them. Um, Even if you go down a T6, that's probably fine if you start there. But you will find knives that have a T10, T15, T20 pivot. I believe the Slim Midi and some of the new Medfords have a T30 pivot. So you never know what you're going to run into. I have an ass ton of bits just everywhere. Here's the one drawer I use to keep my drivers in. I have another drawer that's blocked right now by a bunch of shit I need to mail out, so I don't even want to show it. But I have the like full-size Weeha drivers in there. I have like 3 of these Weeha bit cases. You've probably seen it. Metal Complex shows it all the time, that green case thing. I have like 3 of those. I have a pack, like a little TikTok type case that has 30 T8s in it. That's why I can replace those. T6s are hard to get, or harder to get in a 30 pack like that. So these I ordered online. These are Felo, F-E-L-O, or Fellow, whatever you want to call it. Dude, that focus button is going to be the death of me. There you go. Felo 6. So this is a T6. These seem to be really good. I ordered Bondus, but somehow these showed up, so I guess maybe Bondus owns Felo or the other way around. So I can recommend these for sure. These T6s were great. You can get them on places like Zoro.com, Z-O-R-O. I've ordered them from another place. I can't remember the name of it. But if you Google, Weeha T6 or T6 Torx, you just want to make sure it's one of these brands that are good. You do not want to go to the hardware store and just buy, the Cobalt version. I'm telling you, yes, it'll be cheap. It'll be $5, and you'll get this cool screwdriver with T6 through T10 or whatever. But those bits will snap off at the tip. They're going to bend real easy. If you have a decent knife, they're going to crap out real quick. And if you have a shitty knife, they're going to crap out even quicker. It is totally worth it to spend the money. I think these are like $2 or $3 a piece, and I just buy like 5 of them at once. I probably have, here's another one. Like, I just have a bunch in here. And then I also have all different size bits. I have these triangle bits. Wow, they're triangle bits because I had a Max Ace that had them on the thumb studs. And then I keep all the sort of important sized ones in here. And I just have everything from, again, T5 through T30 spread out in here. Whenever I need something, I grab it, right? And then I have a whole nother drawer full of extra bits. It's just, you'll accumulate them. Okay, so getting into my fancy drivers. I got this one first. This is a Brian Brown driver. So you guys probably know Brian Brown. He's the guy who designed and has the custom Jaegers. Very popular guy right now. There he goes. His logo has this cool spinner on it. The bearings in there are fantastic. You can actually see them. See that? That's pretty cool. It is milled to perfection. This is made out of zirconium. This was like $120. He drops them on his site every once in a while. I've had another one of these before. It was one of the first ones, and it just was kind of like this pattern down here, and he didn't get a lot of grip on it, so he switched to these fullers, and he actually replaced mine with it, which is cool. And again, 1/4 inch bit. This is what I use for T6. So anything T6, I use this. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, I can't get that much torque with this. And that's why I bought this one. I'll get to that. You can't get too much torque with this, which is a good thing in this case, because with T6, you do not want to over tighten or use too much torque, because you will bend the star shape, you will break off a piece, or you'll strip the screw out or something, and it's just not a good idea to over tighten a T6. So if I use this tool, once I get it to where I really feel like full resistance, I know it's tight enough, and I back off. Where I know that with one of these two, I could crank it much further, but I don't need to, right? Because it's a T6, I need to be careful. This is perfect for that. Sometimes if I need to loosen a screw that's really in there, I need to switch to one of those for T6, but 99% of the 95% of the time I use this for T6. And, other cases, I can swap the bit out for anything, right? If I have a knife with multiple bit, like if it's a T10 pivot and T8 body screw, then I'll put the T10 in there and T8 in here, and I'll use that, right? So this is kind of like my body screw driver in some cases, right? I love this thing. It's very comfortable in hand. One of the greatest things about these drivers is they have this ball bearing thing, which people think is just to like fidget with. It's not. It's to, you can palm it, and now I can spin this freely in my hand. And what that allows you to do is quickly tighten down a body screw or something, and also makes it where you don't need to adjust. And that's the problem with this driver. The problem with this driver is, especially if you're going to tighten a pivot, because you need to be careful. When you're tightening a pivot, you don't want to pop out and strip it. You don't want to scratch anything, right? And what happens with this driver is you go to do a turn, and I can only turn this far, right? My wrist is going to snap if I keep going. So now I have to readjust. So I have to let go of the driver, somehow keep it in the bit, in the tooling, right? I have to keep it in there. And I have to readjust my grip. And you'll notice it's moving all over the place while I do that. And now I can get another half turn or quarter turn, right? And that sucks. When you have one of these, you can get it into the tooling, and then you can just keep spinning it because it has bearings down there that let you do that. So it's fantastic, especially when you first get a screw in. You make sure it's going in, and then you can just quickly spin it in and, knock it out like 10 rotations real quick. It's awesome. Okay, so that's why I love this driver. This is my favorite driver that I own. This is made by Custom Beads and JN Knife Co., I believe. It's a collaboration. It was sold on Urban EDC Supply. I think it's just called the driver. So, it's the Custom Beads JN driver. It comes in this titanium. It has a stonewashed or whatever you want, a bead blasted one. There's a polished, satiny one. And then there's a darkened stonewashed one. I don't love the look of it, really. The color. I wish it was I don't know, zirconium or a polished titanium kind of. But whatever. It is fantastic because look at this little frag pattern tank down here. So what this does is allow me to have the best of both worlds, right? I essentially have this little torque tank monster I can get a lot of torque with. I'm very ergonomic. It's very ergonomic, sorry. But yet I have enough length that it palms, and I have the spinner on it. So I can do this that I can't do with this without being really awkward. You can do this, but you can see, look at the head moving. Imagine that's in the tooling, right? Where this, it just makes more sense. It works fantastically. I will say, I wish it didn't have this, butt at the end, because, that, if you get it in your palm, it doesn't hinder it, but it slows you down a little bit. The frag pattern is so comfortable, and you get so much torque, and then it has that nice length to it as well. See there? It's actually a little bit longer than that one. So it just has, it's essentially having this at the front of this, right? Imagine that. So you could hold this and spin it in your palm while you're doing it. It just is so fantastic. I cannot recommend this type of bit driver enough. I really want to try. I haven't tried one yet, so I can't recommend it per se. But I really, really want to get one of those Journey Tool Co. Taurus, Turas, Taurus bit drivers. They look amazing. That looks like the pimped out version of this, right? And this was I think this was $100. So it's not cheap or anything, but those just look so good. I've been trying to get one of those for a while. He just dropped a huge batch, but they were copper, brass, and bronze, and I just don't do copper, brass, or bronze. Too much weight, and I hate patina, so. But anyway, when he does more titanium cool ones, I'll get one, or if somebody sells one, I'll look for it. But this is the way to go, guys. If you're going to have one driver, get this. Now, don't ever have one driver, though. I'm telling you, get one of these, regardless of if you're bougie like me, or if you're a cheap bastard, whatever. Just get one of these Weeha little stubby guys. You're going to thank me later when you have spinning pivots, I swear. And then get something that has a little bit of a thicker handle but is able to spin. A lot of people love those Wera drivers, W-E-R-A, I believe. They also make really good bits, I've heard. I think both Weha and Wera are like German-made, very good tools. They have a driver that's a little longer. It has a magnetic bit holder so you can replace the 1/4-inch bits. I don't know if it has a spinner type thing, but it's, you know, it's not as thick as that, so you probably have a better time with it. So if you don't want to spend this type of money, I would recommend something like the Wera drivers. One thing I will say is do not cheap out on bits, and also do not be that guy who wants to like use it until it snaps off, because like it's still fine, right? I do maybe 5 or 6 disassemblies with a T8 and I chuck it. There's times where I do 1 and I'm like, ooh, I kind of beat that up, and I chuck it. Like, I check them before every disassembly video to make sure they're fine. Like, this guy, I think, is probably toast. So I'm actually going to chuck that. Now, this guy on the little Weha guy, let's zoom in and take a look at these and see how they look, right? So you can get an idea. So you'll see the star-shaped pattern. You can see the coloring is off, like it's kind of shiny there. But the star shape is in place. And I don't see any like bending or folding or anything on the actual stars, on the whatever you call those. Nothing seems like totally bent or out of place. So this one's fine. It's just old, so it's been in that. Because I don't use this all the time, right? I use it when I need it, and so that's been in there for a while. But that's okay. This one, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see that the very tips of the tooling is like starting to, they're bending, right? They're like off. Man, I hate this. It's not as crisp and clean as that other one we just looked at. See that one right there is kind of torqued over to the side a little bit. It's just very important to make sure you're taking care of these and you have the approach, like you chuck them when you need to. It's not worth it. It's a couple bucks maybe, right? If you get a big batch, I think I spent $25 to get 30 of these. I still have half of them at least. And that was, you know, months ago. Here's the T6. These are the ones that, man, they go real quick. Luckily, I don't buy a lot of knives with T6. Man, I really wish I had better lighting for this. Come on, focus up. There we go. See, this one looks good. I don't see any issues with this one. Everything seems pretty crisp. Maybe a slight bend there. I think we're good on this one. Yeah, this one's relatively new as well. And then you can look at the star shape from the top, and you can see, God, just focus, you fuckstick. You can see that it's pretty good, right? It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Let me see if I can show you that one we're chucking from the top. Let's see. See how, like, that one star right there, tip, the one on the right, see the gap between it and the one up top is huge? And then you look at all the other ones and the gap is smaller. And that's because that one is bent to shit right there. I don't know if you can see that, but it is bent to shit. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps anybody. God, this freaking thing. Come on. Okay. I hope that helps anyone who's just getting into knife maintenance, who's interested in bit drivers, who's asked me questions. I'll direct you guys to this video. I didn't cover everything about bit drivers, but, you know, I hit a fair number of things here. The key thing is to get something that has good torque, but enough length so you can palm it and get a good spin going, and then also have a little, you know, chunky guy that you can control your knife with. You want to be able to hold the knife. Oops, we're good. You want to be able to hold the knife and the tool at the same time while you do your work with the other one. I'm sure there's going to be varying opinions on this, and somebody's going to tell me I do it wrong, and whatever. This is how I do it. You can do the same thing. You can, you know, have your own way of doing things, of course. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is that how you do it? What kind of drivers do you have? What kind of drivers do you want? You know, is there anything really cool that I don't know about that I should get? I'm always interested in upping my maintenance game. It's a big part of the knife hobby for me. I feel like you fall into a couple categories, right? Like you're either just essentially a collector, enthusiast, you don't really get into maintenance or sharpening, or you're a collector and you're really into maintenance like me. That's what my thing is, right? That's my shtick. I get knives and I almost immediately want to take them apart. I want to see how they work inside. I want to see if I can make it better, you know? It's rare that I get a knife and I'm like, ooh, this is so good. I'm not messing with it, right? Like I just got an $1,100 Roosevelt, $1,100 to me. I took that thing apart immediately. I borrowed one from a friend and took it apart immediately. It's just like how I like to do it, right? That's my way of interacting with the hobby, which is fine, right? Everybody has their own thing. I'm a bit of a Neanderthal, but whatever. And then there's the people who get into sharpening, and I feel like obviously there's exceptions where some people are into all of those things or whatever. But it seems like you're either a maintenance guy, a sharpening guy, or a just collection guy, right? Or maybe you're a mod guy. Those are the other guys. There's mods, like they want to fuck with the knife and, you know, change shit and whatever. I'm a maintenance guy. So anyway, these are my bit drivers. I absolutely love them. I do want that tourist driver really bad. So if anybody knows where to get a cool looking titanium or zirconium one or something, I would like to probably replace this piece with that. As much as I really like this guy, I'm just pretty sure I'd like that one a little bit better. So if anybody wants to trade or something, or, you know, whatever, I could always sell this or keep it or give it away later. I do really like this. I'm not trying to say I don't. This is my favorite driver. I use it all the freaking time. Just, it's the best of both worlds deal, and that's why it's so good. And then this is my backup, my beauty piece, the Brian Brown Vulcan driver. So I'm going to shut up now. I really appreciate you guys listening to me ramble and rant and rave about this. Hope it helps somebody out there. I love you all. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.